do everything and anything which buys you time. If it doesn't buy you time, don't ever do it.
Paddles up and welcome to episode 27 of the Pickleball Gurus podcast. I'm Randy Manaply and I'm here with Prem Carnot, the Pickleball Guru, the world's premier pickleball coach and author of the two best-selling books, Smart Pickleball and Drop Shot Till You Drop.
Hello, Guru Nation. Welcome.
And the first thing I'd like to do is introduce Krashon from PBislife.com. Welcome, Krashon.
Hi, everybody. You look like you're in great fun places with those backgrounds. Thanks for having me today.
Hi, Krashon.
Thank you.
Hey, Prem.
Now, this episode is all about coaching philosophy. Prem, in a nutshell, and I'm going to limit you if you go on too long as you want to do, what are the key components to your coaching philosophy?
The key components in a nutshell, as you say, would probably be do everything and anything which buys you time. If it doesn't buy you time, don't ever do it.
Okay, can you expound on that? Give a better explanation to it?
You asked me to tell it in a nutshell.
And now I'm asking you to expand
You
upon
got
it.
Anything you do in pickleball related in terms of your serves or anything, or your return of serves or your drop shots, execute a shot which allows you the most ample time to be able to get to the non-volley zone, or when you're playing, when you're dinking, the same thing is like set yourself up with shots which gives you more time to react.
Okay, for example.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, for example, you mentioned the return of serve. You don't necessarily recommend one of those hard returns back then, do you?
Well, yes, I've written many articles, and in my book also we talk about that. It's a return of serve, a fast return often gets you caught in the middle of nowhere and in a no person's land, and it's not an ideal place to be. If you are letting a deeper ball, a higher ball, it gives you more time. I generally jokingly say that you can literally hobble yourself to the non-volley zone because it gives you more time as the opponents have to wait for the ball to bounce. So hitting a fast serve means it's coming back faster at you, which means less time.
And the same thing with a hard return, meaning you're going to probably get trapped in no person's land and you're nowhere close to getting up to the line.
That's right, especially when you know that one of your partners is already at the kitchen line or the non-volley zone. That means you're pretty much a gaping hole between you and your partner.
Right. Excuse me. And Krashon, before I ask you the same question about coaching philosophy, tell us about how you got into pickleball and talk a little bit about your company, PBislife.
All right. I could probably do this quicker than Prem, but basically I have an athletic background. However, I walked away from that 20 plus years ago. So I hadn't really been in athletics at all, even recreationally. And so about 3 years ago, I guess now, I was with my partner up in Delaware, and some friends said, hey, we need some people to play. So come on out and play this game. And of course, like everybody, I heard the word pickleball and I was like, well, what am I getting myself into? So at any rate, we went out there and played, and clearly I'm sitting here now 3 years ago talking to you guys. So I love it. And so I came back to the Richmond, Virginia area, and we went out and started playing kind of more often in different places, different people. And as the love of the game grew, I remembered how it felt to be a coach that I dabbled in a little bit, again, years and years ago. And so I went up to DC and got my coaching certification with PPR, Sarah Ansberry's program, if you will. Came back and launched PBislife. And so we really focus a lot on training and clinics and private lessons, and just now we're expanding and broadening our horizons any way we can contribute to the game and bring the word of the game to more people. That we're starting to expand in that space as well. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about PBislife. What is it exactly? Is it just a way to schedule coaching with you, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah. So, like I said, initially it was the idea was, to be really honest, was thinking future, right? Thinking about retirement. And I thought, well, wow, if I went and got my coaching certification to do something I love to do and would love to teach people to do, I could move to a sunny place like maybe where you are right now and coach in retirement. What a great way to live. And so it did primarily focus on coaching. And now we put out there things about tips and tricks and with the rule changes. And now we're expanding in Facebook. And as Preem knows, we now launched a podcast series to talk all subjects, all things pickleball. So bring information, encourage, inspire people, talk about the social aspects. So we're not just tournament talk, advanced talk. It's intermediate, it's social, it's beginner. So it's really a forum for coaching is the foundation. And now really just a place to come to for more great information and exposure to all aspects of the game.
Excellent. So, as a coach, what's your philosophy on getting pickleballers to play better?
Well, I don't know if these terms were really born in pickleball or familiar in pickleball, but I find myself constantly talking to people about fundamental versus style. So when people first get into pickleball, you know, the way I explain it is if it's the same information you're hearing repeatedly from all different levels of players, it's probably fundamental. You know, how you dink a ball perhaps is fundamental, perhaps. And then when you find yourself in that frustrated moment because people are telling you all these different ways to play the game and you're getting frustrated, it's probably a style topic. So for example, there's many grips. You don't have to use a Western grip. You don't have to use an Eastern grip or a ping pong grip, right? It's what feels good for you, what's comfortable for you. Who gets the middle? That's the famous argument. You know, sure, it seems that we still dominate the game with the strategy of forehand takes middle, but there's the X strategy out there as well that doesn't follow that line of thinking. And so I talk about that. That's a style as well. So really, I want people to really understand, especially newer to the game. Um, don't get frustrated, and remember, there's fundamentals and there's style, and style equals choice. The choice that works best for you, that brings the best out of the game for you and makes you have the most fun. So I really like to start there with everybody.
No, I really like that because a lot of people, they come in with their own style and they expect people, they think that's the one way to play. And they come up with, yeah, you should always take the middle, or you should always make a short serve in the corner or something like that. Because it works, because it works for them as opposed to working for somebody else.
Exactly. And I'm a great example. I'm not a great, powerful driving person. It's something I'm working on in my game, right? But I have more finesse control. So I like the drop. So, you know, again, it works for what are you good at right now? You can always add things later. It's what I like to do. But pick something that works for you. And just because someone else doesn't do it that way, that just means it's, like I said, it's probably a style choice, and do it. Have fun with it.
No, I love that. One of the comments that I make is the great thing about pickleball is everyone's so helpful. And the bad thing about pickleball is that everyone's so helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Prem, if you could impart one piece of advice to a player just starting out, what would it be?
Just go have fun.
How'd you get this man on so few words today?
I don't know.
But they're right. They're powerful.
It's just having fun. That's all I would say is go have fun, not worry about it. And especially if you're starting the game, it's not really worried about the scoring lines and scores and how to keep scores and all that stuff. If you're a ranked beginner, you know, just go and try and see if you can get to the fundamentals, and know if you can serve, or if you can drop, not even drop, so like return of serves and get the ball over the net. Just have fun just doing those things. Uh, One of the recommendations or one of the suggestions I often make to aspiring coaches who are trying to teach the beginners is please stop teaching them how to score, because that's one part which will drive away people away from the sport, because it's so confusing at the beginning. And it could be so detrimental and sometimes even disheartening for them to just try and tackle the score, how to keep score. Score, you could handle it in the later stages, but at least let them go have fun and just go hit balls and figure out how, the bounce and the double bounce rules, and how they can actually get the ball across the net in a consistent manner. So once they get that one a little bit better, and then inserting the score, how to keep scores is an easier way to do it. But just keep pounding people with how to keep scores can be really detrimental. And I've seen a lot of people get disheartened and actually leave because they think people get so retentive about um, how to keep the score, if it's right or not, if the numbers are accurate or not. So that's one thing I would suggest.
What about you, Krashon? What nugget would you impart to a beginning player?
Yeah, I mean, I would totally have to agree. Initially you're just out there to have fun and try to pick up the rules as you go. And like you already said, Randy, there will be plenty of people to give you help on what to do and how to do it. So I guess if I came at it from the another angle, versus how to enjoy just being on the court, I would say don't worry about your equipment. Kind of the same philosophy. Don't overstress on the game and learning the rules and push yourself to know how to do everything at once. And in that light, you don't need to go buy a $200 paddle to get out there to see if you're going to enjoy the game or to play the game. So, or $100 shoes, right? So just go out there. That same mentality, I think that's based in Prim's comment as well. Enjoy yourself and just whatever paddle's available, Dick's Sporting Goods, wherever you need to go. The Guru's got plenty you could choose from too, but just pick a paddle and don't worry about it. And as you grow your game, then maybe you want to start asking some questions and again see what works for you in terms of equipment choices. But yeah, I did that and I wasted a lot of money early.
And what about the intermediate to advanced players? What would y'all impart to someone in this category from a coaching perspective? Prem?
I'll jump on that.
Oh,
I guess. Sorry, go ahead, Prem. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Krishant. Go ahead.
No. I'm just kidding.
You're
Really,
our guest.
when I think, thank you. When I think about that, one of the things that pops in my mind is once you're at that intermediate advanced level, I really think you've committed to the game to some extent, right? You've put in some time and some effort, and I think and I hope your passion has really is really driving you to keep playing the game. So, if you're in that in that place of trying to understand where you want to take your game, I feel like understanding if you think you want to go in the tournament route, you don't have to make that decision early by any means. You want to wait till later. But if you do want to go tournament route, or if you think recreational play is where you want to be, and I find a lot of the intermediate advanced, they know pretty clearly by then whether they think they're going to go tournament or not. And I think that matters because then I think you might want to have a little bit of a generic plan in your head. If you're going to go do recreational play, your plan, which might just be in your head, might be just to go play at all the various parks and different places and play with different people and enjoy different social aspects of the game as well as the game. And that includes competitiveness. There's plenty of people who don't do tournaments that are very competitive. In contrast, if you think you're going to be a tournament player, then I think there is a difference in planning. And I think that you might consider that 2 to 3 to 1 ratio of drilling to playing. Because depending on those tournament goals, playing is going to get you far, but it's a big muscle memory game. And so being out there and putting some time into drilling and getting that muscle memory in there, I believe in adding tools to your toolkit constantly, new shots, different shots. I think that's what differentiates that decision or that thinking. It doesn't have to be a decision, but thinking about, am I going to stay with recreation with this, or am I going to go tournament play? I think that's just something that if you know which way you're going, I think there's different plans for those two different paths forward. Um, but ultimately, just again, I agree. Just have fun with it as well. But keep adding to your toolkit. If I can just emphasize that, I think the most fun thing about this game, and I think with the origin of my passion is there's no rules about what kind of shots you can make. You can do anything you want to do. We now have the Ernie and maybe the Bert and the tweener, and I mean you can have so much fun with this game. So again, if you're going to go, just those people who are wondering if they're going to go which direction, I just think that's one of those differentiating concepts to think about is drill versus just play for fun.
Prem, what about you?
I think once you enter into that category of intermediate and advanced play level, I think what is important is competitive or not. I mean, most of the time, by the time you arrive there, you're competitive to whatever extent it is. You playing tournaments or not is really a different question. But if you are already in that level, you are wanting to be competitive. You play tournaments or not is not the question. But if they do, is basically it's about really trying to get consistent with your play. Really like layering their consistency. Like every shot they hit, like if they hit 10 balls in a row in a certain area, and just increase it to 20 balls and see how good they can be consistently hitting, like on a dime. Like basically you're hitting passing shots or a dink or a drop shot, so that you get consistent, so that the muscle memory is built. And then that allows you to move and ramp up and start playing, better level players or higher level players, not better, but just, keep increasing consistency so that you are becoming consistent. When it comes down to advanced tournament players, I generally would suggest to, a lot of things which Krashon shared, which are important. It's really important to, have all the drilling practices and have the consistency of being able to execute shots. But when you start getting into the competitive mode or into the tournament mode, one aspect which is very not much addressed oftentimes, but it's a very important part, is the mental aspect of it. Because sometimes people are very, very, very good at playing their game on a recreational level, competitively, but in a recreational level. But then when they come down to a tournament, the pressures of performing, the pressures of being in front of people, or pressure of holding their end of the deal with their partner, adds up, and the player they probably were on a normal setup is totally different in a competitive setup. So some people are not made for that, and some people just decide, okay, this is not for me, and they just go away from it. Others are made for it but still struggle with it. Then they need a mental preparator, someone who can help them in focusing and breaking it down to every single moment and being able to focus whatever is at that point, rather than to project themselves in the future of the game or of a match, and just stay in the moment. And even if they lose 1 point or lose a particular rally, that they continue to focus on the next one, so that they remain prepared and focused. So those are the type of qualities for competitive play. The mental preparation is an important part. People who have that quality, as a lot of competitive teams generally tend to have a mental preparation team, preparators who are there to help them grow the focus.
Now, here's the question. We're talking about philosophy. There are lots and lots of videos out there on the YouTubes. Does anyone even need a coach with all this information out there?
And I'll have, again, Krashon, our guest, answer that.
I think, yeah, I mean, depending on your goals, right? If you're really wanting to improve the game, et cetera, if you're someone out there searching the internet, looking at all the videos, you're probably looking to improve, and videos certainly help. And like you said, there's just an abundance of them. But I did that, I looked at a lot of videos, but I was that new player, and then went to intermediate, now play advanced, and I've seen the videos, but it does not compare for me. It has not compared at all to like the coaching that Prem has given me, Andy G, D.A. Hearn, uh, Ben Johns, Irina. I mean, having those sessions with them, in my case, I took privates from them. And the reason I took a private was kind of to the core of your question. It's my game. They can look at my game, right? And see my habits, the good and the bad. They can look at my movement. They can see, does she have purpose? Does she have intention with that shot? Or did she just hit it back over? And then coach and teach me my game. So there's a ton to learn out there by all means, and you don't have to have a coach, but depending on your goals, there's definitely a difference in the videos, no matter how good they are, no matter great they are, and having that one-on-one, face-to-face opportunity for someone to look at your game and give you tips for your game and your style.
Prem, that kind of sounds like our marketing for our boot camp.
She's probably voicing yes, definitely something we would do in the boot camps. But to answer your question precisely, definitely all the videos will give you an insight on the things you can, videos are a very good revelation of each one's weaknesses. So it's great to always watch videos and be able to analyze stuff or even get coaching tips on the video. But it is very different. I'm not saying just because I coach, but I think if you ask anyone who has been in front of good coaches, the first thing the coaches generally tend to do is when they see each one, they figure out very quickly what's inhibiting them to go to the next level, be it mental or physical or technique or tactics. So it's really insightful, and it's always personalized in most cases. It's very direct to the player, so that I definitely believe in in-person coaching either way. There are some really great coaches out there who have done a tremendous amount of work to support players who want to enhance their game. And idea, being competitive or a tournament player, irrelevant of it, they definitely will help you enhance your game.
Now, do you think coaches can learn from other coaches? For example, what would you want to know from Prem about his coaching or philosophy that would be valuable to you, Krashon?
Oh, I'll be specific and direct. Yes, coaches can learn a lot from coaches. I didn't learn just a lot from Prem on the coaching, fortune that I've had to get from him, but also just as a coach. So I know, Prem, with your tennis background, I've now got a few clients coming over from the tennis side, right? So they're seeing the great fun that we're having on the pickleball courts. They're probably just wondering what that sound is, but nonetheless, we get them over onto the pickleball courts. And and with your background, where do you start with someone like that? So you've got it could be anyone from a medium level player to a high level tennis player, and they come over to the pickleball court. They definitely have a different mentality in my experience. They're ready to command the court. It can't be that hard, right? It's just, because they come from tennis. So yeah, I could learn a lot about managing the expectations and just how to take that tennis player through, through their program, or what will help them transition to the game of pickleball faster, better, smarter.
Yeah, to answer your question, Krashon, in terms of tennis players, being a tennis player, we are a little cocky. I have to say.
I didn't say it.
We are a little cocky. We think it's one of the best games, and I just still do believe it is a very fun game to play, tennis. But having said that, we're also, we think we have trained so hard, and we know exactly how to play strokes and everything else. And pickleball looks so silly while watching from the outside. So when you get into playing the game, it feels like, oh, it's a smaller court. We can just crush everything. Initially, when players come in that level, no matter what their level is, generally they will continue playing the way they play tennis, and they will get moderate to some success uh, against lower end players, and then they start figuring out that some of those shots don't really work against the higher end players or advanced players. And so I normally let them have it. I don't go and try and correct that till the lights come out for themselves. And oftentimes when they are interacting with other better pickleball players, and all of a sudden they realize what they were able to do against lower end players is not really working in the next level. And some people will continue playing the same way, which I call uncoachable. I don't even
Yeah.
try going there. But the people who genuinely think, okay, now I have this background, I mean, obviously I'm getting beat by these people. They don't seem to have all the beautiful technique I have, but they still seem to be much more efficient than me. So those are the ones you can help, and you can start figuring out. And it's like there's not much you can. In a tennis player, the footwork is a beautiful thing they have, and those split steps in the ready position. There's a few number of minor adjustments. It's mostly around the bounce because the relatively big swings we generally tend to have in tennis, and the prep work has to be shortened a little bit more and more compact game. But good tennis players who really want to change their game will become really good pickleball players. The ones who don't remain tennis pickleball players. Does it answer your question, Randy?
I think it was Krashon's question, but okay.
No, yeah, I think it's insightful. You're right. It's that big backswing, for example, the big power stroke, or they lingering in the back of the court for the long volleys. That's something that's a big part of the tennis game versus trying to actually get to the volley line even faster or quicker, not by speed, but by number of shots. Yeah, I mean, but it's helpful because, like you said, I didn't think about that. Let them kind of go through that cycle. My first tennis client, I kind of try to jump right in and go, hey, you've got a big backswing. I know in tennis that's important, but in pickleball, you're gonna soar the ball long, or soar it wide with that big backswing. You really don't want much of a backswing. You want it out front. Talking through those tips. And I think, I learned even from that experience that you need to wait for them to be ready. I think you just gave that great clarity to me. Let them be ready to bring that in, take that information in. And then your insight on, they've had so much training. So now that makes it make sense to me why they might come on the court a bit more confident, we'll call it. A bit confident there is a tremendous amount of training that I highly respect in the tennis players. So those are some really good points. So yeah, definitely helpful even in that short period of time.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. There'll be a link to PBislife in the show notes if you want to find out more about Krashon and her company. As for Prem, you're off to Costa Rica very soon. And after that, you'll be in Krashon's neck of the woods, no less. We got a boot camp coming up in Richmond. One spot just opened up, and a Bootcamp Express, as well as 2 clinics coming up in Richmond, Virginia in May. Tell everyone about the Bootcamp Express and the clinics that you have coming up.
Well, the Bootcamp Express is a little different from the Bootcamp Classic or the traditional one, which is a 4-day event. The Bootcamp Express is over 2 days, and it's obviously a smaller budget, but most of the topics which are in the Bootcamp Classic are covered in the Bootcamp, but it's cramped in 2 days for a lot of people who work during the week, and so they can get a quick they don't have to get away for a 4-day event, and then they can just have it for 2 days. So we've been able to shorten it up, but we still deal with the play, the dings, the hard balls being hit at, the block volleys, how to control a hard ball, and how to play together as a team. All the strategies which we cover more in detail and more times allocated in the boot camp. But we still have about 12 plus hours of coaching in the Bootcamp Express for $5.97 or $4.97. Is that right?
$5.97. If you use coupon code Express, you can get it for $4.97. And like you mentioned, it takes place over a weekend, so you don't have to take any time off of work if that's necessary. Can't make the Richmond coaching for clinics. There's Charlotte in August, Denver in September, Sacramento in October, and also in October, Tucson. Boot camps are also in those locations with Charlotte in August, Denver in September, Sacramento in October, and 2 in Tucson, one October 22nd through the 25th, and one October 29th through November 1st. So Halloween boot camp. We've also added 3 boot camps in Vero Beach, Florida for January and February. Links to the
Well,
clinics.
we have Turks and Caicos too in December.
And we have Turks and Caicos too coming up in December. Links to clinics and boot camps and Bootcamp Express are available in the show notes. Can't come out for coaching but still want to support the guru? Check out our gear page or purchase one of his best-selling books. Plus in the show notes, I'll have links to all the other products like the newly USAPA approved Core Pickleball, the PBO paddles, Jigsaw Health's Pickleball cocktail, where you can get a Smart Pickleball t-shirt and a Guru signature paddle. Either way, head on over to pickleballguru.com and sign up for Prame's newsletter, absolutely free for lots of tips, tricks, strategies, and more for lots of free stuff. That's all I have, Prame. Krashon, anything else?
Nothing else. Just go have fun on the court. Thanks again, Krashon. Go have fun on the courts, guys. And remember, it's only pickleball. And thanks for joining us, Krashon.
Yes, thank you guys very much. Great to see you always. Can't wait to see you when you get back to Richmond. And who knows, you may see me pop up down in Costa Rica.
You never know.
So thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Safe travels, Preme.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.